Welcome to Roasted Peppers. We just made a pie crust, and what better to put in the pie crust, especially to finish off a Thanksgiving dinner, a lemon chiffon pie. Here we have 2 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Into that, I'm whisking 1 cup of maple syrup. This is a light grade A maple syrup. To 1 cup of boiling water, I'm going to whisk the flour, cornstarch, and maple syrup, and this will thicken up. Just going to add a pinch of salt, probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon, just to pull that together. There, see how it begins to bubble? And it's sort of a translucent color. Turn it down to a medium low. Cover it and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. To the maple syrup mixture, I'll add 2 eggs. I'm going to separate them first. Eggs separate better when they're cold. They beat better when they're warm. I have here cold eggs, and I'm just going to break the egg apart. Fresh eggs have a nice dark yellow yolk like this. These are fresh Connecticut eggs, and the yolk stands up nicely. Look at that. If there's even the tiniest bit of yolk in the egg whites, it won't froth and beat up into whipped egg whites. And these are perfectly clear. So we'll put the egg whites aside until the very end. The yolks, I'm going to whisk just to get some air in them, so they'll blend into our filling a little easier. The filling has been cooking for 5 minutes, and here it is. I'm going to take just a little bit of the filling and put it into the yolks and stir it up. You want to do this very quickly, because if you don't, you'll end up with egg drop pie filling, which you certainly don't want. And then just continually whisking, quickly whisk the egg yolks into the filling. And you can see that it is beginning to take on less of an opaque and more of a pale yellow color. This is going to go back on the stove. Look at the texture of this now. You can see that it's thickened by the flour and the cornstarch. Once the egg cooks in, it really takes on a bit of a different texture. And you'll see that at the end of the next step. Cover again, tip the cover, let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Prepare the lemons. Juice of 2 lemons, rind of 1, and that will give us the lemon flavor for the pie. Rasping a lemon, I've done this on so many of my recipes, but here it is really integral to the whole pie. These beautiful, tiny, thin strings of lemon. And then the juice of 2 lemons. Makes of 2 lemons will make about 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice, 1/3 to 1/2. Here's the filling now that the eggs have cooked in, and you can see it has more of a pudding-like consistency with the egg in it. And we'll take the lemon and the lemon rind and just pour this into the filling. Get all those nice rasped lemon rind. Stir that in. It'll get thinner at this point, but don't worry, it's still just fine. To help it cool a little more quickly, I'm going to take it out of my cooking pan and put it into the stainless steel bowl. Cover this and just let it sit for about 45 minutes to an hour until it gets to room temperature, and then we'll fold in the egg whites. In a clean bowl, a clean dry bowl, the 2 egg whites. And then to whip egg whites, start with a lower speed. Do you see how that's beginning to foam? Once it begins to foam, that's when you begin to increase the speed and go for the fully whipped egg white. At this point, you can see it is holding what you would call a soft peak. Hold. Egg whites are beat perfectly when you can see, watch this, I'll turn it back on, and you can see the trace of the beater. And now that will hold a peak. I'm going to take just probably about hardly a teaspoon of maple syrup and just beat that in. It gets a little shinier. I have just about 4 ounces of heavy cream in a cold bowl sitting in the refrigerator. And I've washed and dried my beaters. Same process. Slow it first until it gets quite frothy and bubbly, then increase the speed. Pinch of salt, just the tiniest bit. And I'm also going to thread, once it gets thicker, probably about a teaspoon or so of maple syrup in, just to give it a little flavor, and I'm going to also put a drop of vanilla in. Maple is a wonderful flavor in whipped creams. Oftentimes whipped cream is just too sweet. It will never be too sweet with just a little bit of maple syrup. Delicious. And then just a tiny bit of vanilla. It just integrates the flavor and gives it just a tiny little bit, because we sure don't want to take away from that lemon. The whipped cream is this is stiff, pretty stiff whipped cream, and you want it that way so that it will hold up and keep the pie light. Okay, final step. Here's the filling. One way to lighten a filling is to I'm going to take part of the egg white and just put it in and then stir it in to the filling. That just overall lightens it up. Put the egg whites in first. And then to fold, literally, just bring your spatula down, pull it up and around, down, pull it up and around, and just keep doing that. And just like with the pie crust, oh, it's not coming together. I guarantee you it will be perfect. It will all come together. When that's about 3/4 of the way mixed in, I'm now going to put the whipped cream in. And same thing, just fold that in. Pick it up, put it down, fold it over. Down, pick it up, fold it over. Down, pick it up, fold it over. And then just pour it right into the pie shell. And it'll also settle and look so nice and creamy when it's done. Do you see? Now, obviously, we certainly couldn't slice through that now, but after 2 hours in the refrigerator, it will just be perfect to slice through and still be kind of just hold together. I'm going to put that in the refrigerator, and there you have Lemon Chiffon Pie, the best Thanksgiving Day dessert. Enjoy.